Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
You sure?
No, that was good.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trend. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Ricker.
Here.
Councilman Day.
Here.
Councilman Delines excused.
Yes.
Councilman Jaconet.
Here.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Here.
Councilman Benny.
Here.
With us this evening, Borough Attorney Joseph McMahon and Borough Administrator Kevin Boyle.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess we'll start with the 2019 Special Improvement District budget. Can I have a motion to open them? Go ahead, read it first, I'm sorry.
Okay, authorizing adoption of a budget in the amount of $622,987 for the Special Improvement District in the Borough of Pompton Lakes for the year 2019.
Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on 29 Special Improvement District bid budget?
So moved.
Council President Riker?
Second.
Councilman Jaconet? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public would like to address just this concern? Please step up.
Falls in the preview of the bid.
Okay.
I'm Walter from Walter Road, from Mid-Rise, Ironford Mid-Rise. One of the things I wanted to mention tonight was that the Rhino Theater, it's a great asset to town, it's a big draw.
Okay, so wait, this is, we're just talking right now about the bid budget.
Okay.
So if you have a question about the
I
budget.
was wondering if part of the budget could be used to make better, attractive lighting in the pond hole, partly for the Rhino Theater, because the parking is always tough, when they have a show. And I think some nice lighting back there that would be attractive would certainly be a benefit to the town.
Okay, so with that budget part, I can address the concern you have in a second too, but with the budget part of that, that's not about what this is about. This is introducing the number. But to answer your question, since you asked it, I'll be announcing in my report, we're redoing the pond hole. The town's paying to redo it. We'll be adding new lighting, we'll be adding striping and paving and fixing the issues we have with drainage there. That's a separate issue, but we'll talk about that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else to address just this ordinance? None? Can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Bennon?
Second.
Councilman Jaconet? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion approved, 2019 Special Improvement District budget for second reading and final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Bay?
Second.
Councilwoman Polidori, roll call, please.
Does anyone want to say anything? Or just want to do roll call?
Well, usually we have a member from the bid here to go over the budget. Their budget carries over from year to year. Just so everybody understands, the bid is a tax put on by the business owners of town. They're the landlords, the people that own the building. It's a special tax just put to them. The money goes to improvements to downtown and things that they have their own committee that decides what that money's spent on. It is not used by local taxpayer dollars to do any of this. This is all through dollars collected through businesses in town.
Can I, I just want to say that the bid is, in addition, yes, it's definitely the landowners, the property owners, but the bid over the last few years, as it's very much come into its own, has really been very supportive of the community events. So much of what you see goes on here in town, in terms of the stroll, in terms of some of the improvements on the sidewalks. There's so often, if you go to the bid meetings that happen once a month, you hear that the bid is always asked to contribute, and the bid warmly and is very much a part of this community.
Thank you.
And also, what we were talking about with the parking lot in the pond hole, the bid has contributed to the study there for the parking. and they contribute there. They have grants for facades and signage for our businesses also, that they contribute to the community.
And just to follow up on that a little bit, that we're talking about the redoing of the pond hole, it's gonna cost a lot of money, and the bid is kicking in half the cost to redo that pond hole. So they are spending some real money in redoing that pond hole, because they know it's an advantage to the town, but really an advantage to the shoppers in town that would come in, and the Rhino Theater, and all these things around them. So they understand the need for that. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes. Okay.
2019 municipal budget. You want to
Yeah, we can, go ahead, you can read it if you want.
read it first? or-
Yeah, read it first, I guess.
Okay. Be it resolved by the Borough Council of Borough Pompton Lakes of the state that the budget hereinbefore set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purpose stated for the sums therein set forth in appropriations and authorization in the amount of $10,178,607 municipal purposes, $120,275 to open space recreation, farm and historic preservation, and $406,865 for minimum library tax.
All right, thank you. So who's going to explain the budget? Yeah, let him do that.
Let him do that. Let him do that now.
Okay.
Then you can open
Okay. So Jim, if you want to take it off?
his explanation.
Jim is our auditor, and he'll explain the budget a little bit better.
Just as a recap, the budget this year is not being reviewed by the Division of Local Government Services. You now get reviewed once every 3 years. Last year was your lucky year when the state examined your budget. You have a resolution later, just the self-examination and certification. The budget has to be compliant with two cap laws, the 1977 spending cap law and the 2010 tax levy cap law. The budget is compliant with both of those laws, so that it's okay for the borough to adopt the budget. The amounts that the clerk read in the resolution there is amounting to approximately 1 tax increase in the municipal portion of the tax levy this year.
Okay, and just to follow up a little bit about one tax point, on the borough side is about $26 on the average assessed value of a home, which is $279 right now, with the new reval that went through last year. So that's 100% evaluation. We here at the council take great pride in trying to keep a strong budget here. A small 1-point increase is a reasonable budget to increase, considering the way pensions and retirement expands every year. This is a very responsible budget. Councilman Bennett, do you have anything you want to say? Because you're the chair of that. Nothing to add, Mayor. Thank you. So we do spend a lot of time and a lot of energy up here deciding on how to increase our budget. Now, I know most people watching home are going to say $27. That doesn't seem like a lot. That's just the town's portion. So we're only responsible for the town's portion. Then the school's going to have their own budget that they're responsible for, and the county's going to have their own budget that they're responsible for. We have no say on those two budgets. Whatever their increases are will be passed on to the residents. We only have control, and I always explain it like this: if you have $1, we're controlling about 21 cents of that dollar. The school is controlling about 62% cents of that dollar, and the county's controlling about 19 or 20 cents of the dollar. So we're only here responsible for the 21 cents. That's what we're talking about. So with that, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on the 2019 municipal budget? So moved. Councilman Bay?
Second.
Councilwoman Polidori? All in favor? Aye. Against? Anyone from the public like to address just the council budget? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session for 29 municipal budget? So moved. Councilman Bay? Councilman Giaconetti? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to adopt the 29 municipal budget.
So moved.
Councilwoman Polidori? Second. Councilman Venning? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Good night, have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, meeting open for public comments. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Councilman Bay?
Second.
Council President Riker? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address any concerns? Please step up. Any concerns? Whoever wants to step up first. How many is the team? Okay.
We're Russell and Greg Cockerfair, 26 Albert Street, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. I thank the town for what you did last night for us. And we got our jackets on, and it's precious what you're doing. You all, I'll talk to you a little later. And Russell's got a bowling award.
Hey, Russell.
Yeah, I know. He's been bowling for like 40, 50 years, which is long enough. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
So they were talking about, they came to the, they came to our recreation committee meeting last night to ask about a play that they'll be putting on, as the Explorer Post, right? You have a number? Yeah. 136. And they asked for some help from the recreation to pay for it, which we will gladly do, and I will be front row watching the play when you're ready to go, so you let me know.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else like to address? Please step up.
We're really getting Iron Ford Square. You just hear on the radio, I guess you know before me, the Attorney General is going to step in with DuPont.
Yes.
Contaminated stuff, so maybe that'll be a help. Got a lot of weight behind us now, maybe. I want to say the new field looks great.
The turf field.
Yeah, by the middle school. Super. When I was here about maybe more than a month ago, they had two people, I guess they were out of town, and they probably paid to come here by some profit-making group. They were touting the benefits of legalizing marijuana and getting on board with the real world. Okay, so anyway, I got a little bit upset about that, but I have something here that I just happened to come across from employment. It's a very respected college, and they did a little article on that. I'm going to leave two excerpts. I don't want to leave these guys alone. It says, from the American Journal of Psychiatry, showed that people who use cannabis in 2001 showed that people who use cannabis in 2001 were almost 3 times as likely to use opiates 3 years later. Cannabis use is likely to increase the risk of developing schizophrenia and other psychoses. The higher the use, the greater the risk. And it goes on and on and on. Anybody with a brain knows this. It's not a cute thing to do or promote. With all this, we have all these programs to watch out for opiates, fentanyl, watch out for this, watch out for these kids, watch out this for the little kids. When they're passing a law to make it legal to take mind-altering drugs, it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe somebody's been smoking this stuff in Trenton already, I don't know. But it doesn't make sense. So that's pretty much, I gotta say that. Okay.
Well, while you're looking, I will answer you about the marijuana. So, we've had some pressure from both sides to make a decision on what we as a council are going to do, and I know where some people feel about this. But what happens is the state has to do their guidelines first. Their state rules will override the town rules. So these towns that are passing ordinances, either supporting or against it, really, it doesn't have any weight until the state says how they're going to do it.
Right.
And once the state comes up with a plan, which I understand will be put off now past November, because they don't have enough support for it internally, that then there's going to be a 180-day decision for the towns to make a decision on where they're going to stand on this.
Right.
That's when we'll make our decisions here as a council of what we're going to do. I will tell you that we've had a lot of residents either write me, call me, or come to council meetings in support of just what you said, not bringing marijuana into that town. And I think part of the issues for some towns, I would guess that a lot of towns would be saying no to this, and the people that are supporting marijuana are saying, then where would the towns be that are going to say yes? So I think that's the issue that the state is having. If they want to legalize it, there has to be areas to legalize it, if that's what they decide. So we haven't come out officially on it yet, but we hear what you're saying.
I know there's a lot of people, the money's behind it because the money. I think, from what I understand, the cigarette company is already growing marijuana. Well, you're gonna take these kids now already, these poor young minds, they're on their phone 6 hours a day, and when you tell them to take a break, they're gonna go light up a joint, sit on the couch for another 6 hours, and then go back on, it's gonna be terrible. It's be terrible. So I'm just a voice in the wilderness, but I hope other people will speak up because we're fighting the tide. It's hard to fight against the tide. A lot of money behind it.
And that's a general rule of thumb about anything. I would hope they would speak up in Trenton and speak up in state. If that's not what if the people don't want that, then they need to speak up. If they do want it, they have to speak up also.
Yes.
But, I think the state assembly and senate realized they don't have what they thought they had in the vote, so they put it off, and now they're going to have to talk about it some more. So we'll see where that goes.
All right, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Giacometto? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Special meeting minutes of March 13th, 2019.
So moved.
I'll read them all together. Closed session meeting minutes of March 13th, regular meeting minutes of March 13th, 2019.
All right, so moved.
Councilman Giacometto?
Second.
Councilman Bennett? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims as listed below. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion. Councilman Bay? Do you have a second?
Second.
Councilman Brennan? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Petitions, we have none. Consent agenda whenever you're ready.
Anyone wish anything pulled?
Number 3 first? Sure.
Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolution for individual actions from that agenda, now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 1980 through 1989 with the removal of 19-82.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Council President Reichner?
Second.
Councilwoman Algori? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, separate action.
And Resolution 19-82, authorizing a person-to-person and place-to-place liquor license transfer, S&A Liquors, Incorp. 1714 Hamburg Turnpike, Pompton Lakes, to San May Liquors, LLC, trading as Krauser's Liquor, Wine, and Spirit, located at 17-1716 Hamburg Turnpike, extension of the premises, first floor, to 1716. Effective date is April 4th, 2019.
Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Day, Councilman Giacometto? All right, discussion?
I'm really looking for an explanation in that it's so often during redevelopment meetings and during bid meetings, we're talking about bringing in restaurants, and restaurants, then comes the discussion of the liquor license. So liquor license is highly regulated, as you must know. So this is more technicality than anything else, but I'm looking for an explanation.
Liz, you might have more
Yeah,
information.
probably.
As far as...
Do you know what the switch was? I don't know because...
Someone purchased the liquor license from...
And opening the same bill?
Yeah, I have no dealings with the actual sale. They do their own sale. The only thing the borough gets involved with is the transfer of it.
Okay.
So I had no idea that they were even, considering it. And the reason the place-to-place part is in there is because if you look at Krauser's, it's 2 addresses, because originally it was 2 stores. So now they're moving a portion of the liquor over into the other section of the store. So in order for them to do that, they have to do a place-to-place. You can't just put liquor in any place you want in a store. It has to be authorized and sanctioned through the ABC, and there's a whole sketch of it. So that's why it was a person-to-person and place-to-place. It's still in the Krauser store, but they're expanding it.
And it appears that the sale is really from one, yes, I mean...
It's from one person to another person.
Okay. But
And
it,
the police did the background check and so
so
forth.
at this point, that was my next question. At this point, once we're voting on it, the police have already done their background checks?
Absolutely, everything's been,
Okay.
well, everything they've given us, all, it's a very thorough
I know that. So I
background
just,
check
okay.
and so forth. And just so everyone understands over here, every license, the licenses that are issued qualify for a different use. So this license is for retail. If it was for a restaurant, it's a different type of license. It has a different number. So if you were interested in having a restaurant come in and use this license, it wouldn't be applicable to that. So that's why the licenses for restaurants are at premium, because there's not as many of those as there are retail.
And
Just
that's
so
why
everybody
I asked to pull it, because there is so much misinformation about that. I know you're quite expert at it, and I wanted just to begin to have everyone hear the conversations and understand that the restaurants and the liquor licenses and stuff are just one more component when we talk about.
And there's a lot of regulations have been changed in the ABC. Now wineries are permitted to come in, and before they were not. They can, there's certain restrictions on it, but if they want to have a restaurant and have a winery come in, that is a permitted use now. But there's regulations around it, but they don't actually have to have a liquor license. But it has to be sold in full bottles. It's very regulated.
Very
but
highly
that's-
regulated.
That's just new too. So restaurants always have that option at this time as well. Or BYOB, which now can be advertised. It couldn't be advertised last year, but now it can be.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I really wanted, when we do a consent agenda, basically we do them en masse, and I felt that, I know Liz is quite expert in it, and I wanted people to begin to hear some of the differences, so thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, resolutions for separate action.
Resolution 1990, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and clerk to execute asset purchase agreement with FST Broadcasting Corporation for operation of DHT on behalf of the borough.
Okay, motion to approve,
So moved.
Councilman Begg,
Second.
Councilwoman, Council President Riker, roll call, please.
Did you want to discuss it? or-
Well, I was going to do them after the second one, but I...
Okay, you want me to?
Do it after the second one.
Okay. Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
And Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 19-91, a resolution authorizing director, mayor, and clerk to execute a local marketing agreement with FST Broadcasting Corporation for operation of DHT on behalf of the borough.
Okay, motion to approve,
So moved.
Councilman Begg,
Second.
Councilman Bennett. Okay, so both of these resolutions have to do with the radio station taking over the new radio station taking over the old radio station. Its agreements worked out with the town. We're lucky enough to have the radio station coming back in. It should be opening within the next couple weeks. It's a group that's coming out of Orange County that operates WTBQ. They've been operating that radio station now for over 25 years. The two things were requested of them when they opened up the radio station was to keep the local flavor in our town, which we had with our other radio station. They agreed to that. And since the property was a donation to the town, we did lose the taxes on the building when it was a donation. We're asking them to pick up the cost of the taxes right now for the next 3 years, which they will be doing. And then after that, there will be, and this is part of that agreement, some payment schedules on how they're going to take over the actual radio station as a whole. Roll call, please.
Councilman Begg?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Okay, first reading.
Ordinance 19-13, second reading and final adoption be on April 10th. An ordinance amending the reading and adding certain provisions of the Borough Land Use Code dealing with zoning changes for DuPont Comores, Tract Block 100, Lot 3, 6.01 and 7.
Motion to approve ordinance number 19-13 for introduction.
So moved.
Councilman Bennett,
Second.
Councilman Bay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker? Yes. Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Just one thing, on a dais tonight, for future consideration, I had asked David Lawler, our planner, to provide a
Oh, I'm sorry.
comparison sheet, so this way it's easy to figure out what was changed in the zone going forward, so you have that for the public hearing,
Yeah, for next reading, yes. There is no
Before it's
discussion.
asked to the planning board.
Right, but there's no discussion now, so that's
So
what it
there's some
is.
procedural issues before we get a final adoption.
Right? Okay. Okay, ordinance for second reading and final adoption.
Ordinance 19-12, this ordinance has been advertised and posted on the municipal bulletin board. Bond ordinance appropriating $1,600,000, authorizing the issuance of the borough for various improvements and purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Borough of Pompton Lakes in the county of Passaic, New Jersey.
Okay, motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 19-12.
So moved.
Council President Riker?
Second.
Councilman Bennett? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address justice ordinance 19-12? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 19-12?
So moved.
Councilwoman Polidori? Do you have a second?
Second.
Councilman Giaconetti? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 19-12 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Giaconetti? Councilman Begg? Roll call, please.
Mayor, we have discussion first?
Yeah, sure, if you want to have discussion, okay.
Kevin, just want to briefly go over again what some of this includes, the extra roads and all that, this way everybody knows.
I was prepared.
All right, good.
This ordinance is, just, 1.6 million. And that includes additional funds that put in for what they call the Section 20 monies, for legal and engineering costs, so forth and so on. But the ordinance is broken down by different categories. First aid squad, we're going to be providing some $40,000 to the first aid squad in 2019. They have some building improvements they want to continue to do from last year, as we gave them some money, and some radio equipment upgrades. The police department, they're going to be getting new laptop computers, basically tough books for police cars, with some new radio units, and we'll be doing all our handheld portable units. We're also providing bulletproof vests. We have a lot of new young officers. We'll also have officers, the vests have a lifespan. We're going to be treating out some vests. So we have about $9,000 for vests. At the same time, we have a reserve fund of almost $3,000, so the actual debt is going to be about $6,000, not $9,000, because we have some money from other funds. We're also putting money aside for the OEM traffic light generators. As we noticed that we had Sandy and a couple other instances when our traffic lights go down, we have to have a police officer literally man that intersection and direct traffic. We're now going to retrofit the lights so they have a generator system where we put a generator onto a retrofit, and it runs the traffic light as if it was fully electrified. So you no longer have to have an officer, and that makes things much easier for the police department moving forward, especially during emergent conditions. DPW, as you know, we have our new superintendent, Dan O'Rourke, and he had a very ambitious capital budget. Normally, I wouldn't recommend such a heavy load on DPW, but we really do need some of these pieces of equipment taken out of service, new piece of equipment purchased. He actually now put together, which normally he's done, a 7 to 12 year life expectancy on vehicles. We keep our vehicles way too long. There's something to be proud of having vehicles, but when we have vehicles that way past their lifespan, it's costing too much to keep them on the road, and you can't resell them. So that's why I think his new game plan will be one we can kind of live with down the road. We're going to provide a backhoe for $170,000, a larger dump truck or plow for $220,000, and the roll-off trucks. Once the recycling centers that bring the big green roll-offs back and forth to different markets, that was $230,000. But of that, We're taking 50,000 out, we're getting clean communities money every year from the state. And except for doing the river cleanup and stuff like that, we don't really use a lot of it. And we're getting substantial dollars every year, 20-some thousand a year. So we're going to take 50,000 of clean communities money, put that toward the roll-off, which we're allowed to do. We also get recycling funds. It's the recycling center, so we're going to take 10,000 out of our recycling funds. So we're going to mitigate that 230 by about 60 grand. So it's going to be reduced by about $60,000. The fire department, I was talking to the chief. A lot of our 10-hour gear is getting old. Under NFPI rules and regulations, after a certain amount of time, you have to buy new gear. Well, we've probably been a little bit missing that, so we're going to have to come up about $47,000 for gear. It's not the whole department, but it's a good portion of the department. Same thing with our Scott bottles. They have a lifespan of about 10 years. A lot of these bottles are bought at the same time, again, not staggered, like you stagger things makes some sense, and as we rotate things in and out. We have about $24,000 for Scott bottles, radios for firemen, UHF radios, a couple Scott bottles that have a 45-minute life, that's almost like $3,000, pagers. So the fire department has about $98,000 worth of capital. And then it's the things that people see. You know, 'cause that's always the thing. You see what we're doing. We're going to be doing ADA handicap ramps over by the Montserrat area. Of that, it's $150,000 for the program. We're receiving $80,000, almost half, from the federal government for community development funds. So that's going to reduce that. Montserrat is a full road program with drainage and so forth. That actually gets taken in 2 weeks. We're getting $220,000 from the state, so that reduces that dramatically. We're going to be putting in $50,000 for stormwater work. We do inlet repairs every year, and we have to do as part of our stormwater management. And $50,000 for river work. Now, we only put about $100,000, but we still have money left from last year's capital. So instead of just reinventing the wheel, we'll spend that first, and we should have plenty of funds available to do our river work. And this year, because the trees did not come back in attacks that they did last year. Remember, 2 years ago, we did all the rivers, cleaned them up. Last winter, it was so bad, it's such bad winter, the trees went back, and we spent all last year taking the trees out of the river that came down. So we never got ahead to do our shoal work, moving the shoals, and we never got a chance to do some outflow work. So this year, I hope, knock on wood, we're going to get to start the shoal work on approved shoals. A couple of shoals that aren't been approved by DEP, but under our grant, we have some shoals we can do. We have outfalls we have to repair along the river. So that's what we're going to be doing in river work. Now, the first time in ever, the borough is going to start the process of actually doing more roads than are under the grant project. So this year, this is a nominal amount of money, $200,000, might get you 2 or 3 roads, but we're going to start the process and build up every year. So maybe over the course of the next 5 or 6 years, you'll have a $500,000-600,000 road program through the borough coffers to really start to look at addressing roads. I've been here since 2012, and I can't tell you how many times people call me and say, I've been here 60 years, and this road has never been paved. And you look and say to yourself, you know, they're not lying. It's never been paved, you know. So we're going to start. So the engineer did a full survey of the south end last year of worst roads to best roads. So we're going to start that process of doing what work. This year's going to do a north end. So then what happens, once both of those surveys are in, we'll flip-flop every year. We'll do a north end, 1 year south end. So eventually, maybe over 10 years or so, most of the roads will be done, besides the roads you're getting the federal and state funding for. So we'll get to that. So
Great idea. Great idea. Thank
So
you.
put $100,000 of what's called capital improvement fund money in. When you do a budget, there's a line item in the budget back toward the end called capital improvement fund, and that's the down payment money on the bonds and notes. And when you do, let's say this is 5%, to just 1.6 million to put 5% down. Well, if we have enough money left over from those balances, we have $100,000 we can use to help offset that cost. My goal is to try to use as much money that I find places to not have to put more money in. Try to, this way, it releases the tax burden. You got to figure it's $100,000. We're saying that $120,000 is the tax point. It's almost a free tax point by just trying to find money that's laying around, you know. So that reduces that by about $200,000. So all in all, you take away the money you have to put aside for Section 20. The original number was $1.56 million. Of that $1.56 million, almost $470,000 was from other funds. So pretty much only like $1 million is actually what you're adding to debt. Now, that's a little high for us. We're normally around 800,000. But I think now I'm talking to orders, we can start to kind of up that a little bit because we're starting to stabilize. We see our surplus kind of regenerate better because if we don't, we can't catch up. You know, honestly, I mean, $800,000, you don't get much for your buck, $800,000. So that's why we're kind of at 1.6. So we're getting there, but that's what all it's about.
Right, and those are all things needed. I mean, the road improvements, the river work, I'm going to talk a little bit about it in my report, but all the time and energy and money we put into the river work has paid off here in Pompton Lakes right now. So much so that other towns will be copying it. So, these are little things, but there's costs involved in everything we do. So for that kind of number, like our administrator was saying, we're getting a good bang for our buck there, so it's a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have is that a roll call? A roll call, please.
That's it, roll call, yeah.
Councilman Bez?
Yes.
Councilman Daniel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Holly?
Yes.
Councilman Ray?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, on to my report. I unfortunately have a couple things today. So I'm sure most of you are aware that there was a special press conference held today by the Attorney General and the DEP Commissioner. It was in reference to the state, but it spent a lot of time talking about Pompton Lakes and the DuPont facility. What they're really getting at in a nutshell, what they were talking about is an NRD, which is a resource damages, which means when a polluter comes into a town, it uses property that people can no longer use for recreation anymore. So it could be hiking, it could be fishing, whatever they're going to use. The state puts a number to that, and that number is a number that they have to come up with through negotiation, that they'll pay the state for the non-use of the property while it's being cleaned. That's what the state is proposing to a lawsuit through DuPont and other corporations in town, in the state, I'm sorry. We as a council have already passed a resolution supporting the fact that we'd like to see that money, once it's paid out, not go to the state and be spent down in South Jersey on a new beach or something, but that money should stay next to where the area of contamination was, which for us would be Pompton Lakes. We've reached out to our politicians above and said, look, this is something we would like to push for. So I didn't hear of that mentioned today in the conversation. This was a very hush-hush meeting, but it was a very important meeting. So, I do support the natural resource damages aspect of it. The other side of it, there was a lot of comments about the cleanup and the DEP. We have to remember here in Pompton Lakes, the DEP and the EPA together are running this cleanup project. They're basically telling DuPont how it's going to be cleaned and what they expect out of them. To date, both agencies have told me point blank they're doing what they're supposed to do. We haven't had any issues with them. There's been no fines levied. Granted, the process has been slow. We've had the commissioner who spoke today, Commissioner of DEP who spoke today, come to our town about 8 months ago, address these concerns, and she basically said here in that meeting that these things were moving forward, granted a little slow. She'd like to see a timeline, but she thought things were working. So I'm a little confused about the other aspects of the conference today. I did reach out to a bunch of people to get some more answers. I will be getting more answers. I am actually setting up a meeting with the Attorney General, that I'll be meeting with him to discuss the meeting itself, and the DEP Commissioner. So once I have those meetings, I will get back to the public and let you know. But, the end result of the natural resource damage is a good thing. What we would like to see is that money, it could be millions and millions of dollars. They've already did one for the lead and mercury, and that money went to South Jersey, went to the Pine Barrens. We should be seeing a piece of that money, in my opinion, and I know this council agrees with that, that we should see some of that money stay in town. So we're going to fight to keep it that way.
One thing, that resolution is very specific. We actually listed specific projects we think would be beneficial that may be used here in Pompton Lakes.
Yes. So hopefully they hear that and they listen to that, and, I think we would all support that here. So that's basically what the press conference is. Unfortunately, the newspapers love to run bad news. That's how they sell papers. So I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot about this in the near future. And we've been through it before, and we'll get through it again. I just feel bad for myself as a resident here and all the other residents that they keep throwing our town under the bus when it comes to this. I will tell you this I can tell you. We got a call from the Attorney General, we did here, saying we're going to have a press conference. They wouldn't tell us what it was about. They would give us no information. They wanted to have it here in Pompton Lakes. I said, my town's been through enough, we don't need to have another press conference here in Pompton Lakes. Why do you have to do it here? They gave us no answer. Then the next day, I got a call saying they're moving the press conference to somewhere else. So I appreciate the fact that they did move it. We don't need camera crews and everything else coming through Pompton Lakes again. We know we have issues here. We know we have DEP and EPA working with the contamination issue. It's been going on way too long. In my opinion, I would love to see it move faster, but that's the way the process works. And until someone tells me differently, that's what I can go by. Okay, so that's that about that. We were speaking about the flooding. We're at that time season. We had our flood, OEM put on their flood advisory meeting last week, which was a great meeting. I think it is on Channel 77. Is that correct, Liz?
Yes, it's going to be. He hasn't posted yet.
All right, so I think, I would hope all residents watch it. The water levels are high here. We're not going to hide anything here. The reservoirs are spilling over. Lakes are pretty high right now, rivers. One bad rainstorm here could cause us some issue. So the information at that OEM meeting was important. I think everybody should watch it, just in case. You want to be prepared before something happens instead of when it's happening. So just keep that in mind. But all the river work we've done to date has made a big difference, in my opinion, and people who've been in town a very long time have said, normally in other small events that we've had in the last couple of years, we would have flooded already. To date, yet this year, we haven't flooded. Other towns have. So with that, I am meeting with the Congresswoman Cheryl this week. She'll be coming into Pompton Lakes. She wants to see how the dam operates. She wants to see the work we're doing in the rivers. She wants to get a little educated about flooding, and I give her credit for coming here to take a look at that, because at the end of the day, FEMA, which is a federal agency, and the Army Corps of Engineers, which is a federal agency, oversees that river work. So we're trying to convince Congress, basically, to put some money aside to clean the rivers. These small towns like us in New Jersey, it's a big chunk of change that we have to put out every year to clean these rivers. If the FEMA was to be smart and say, here's a little grant money to help you clean these rivers, it would go a long way with a lot of these towns. Staying on the flood issue, we got the official notice today that we are a CRS Class 5 rating for our flood. So if you have flood insurance, you should make sure you definitely tell your agent that we are Class 5. You will get up to a 25% discount on your flood insurance. Most towns do not do the work that's involved, and I thank Liz and Kathy and all our people in our office for the hard work they put in to do that. It takes a lot of time and energy to get the paperwork and information needed to do this. But at the end of the day, it's for the residents. They get a 25% discount. I think there's only how many around? 2 or 3 in the state that have it? And maybe we're trying to get a better next year if we possibly can, which would give us a bigger discount. So keep that in mind if you're applying for flood insurance. And I mentioned the CTO day. Today I met with the stigma-free committee, and we're going to be educating, we're trying to figure out ways to educate the public, our emergency workers, our school people, on the effect of mental health, and that it's not, the idea of stigma-free, and in general, people ask me all the time, what is it? It's basically bringing mental health to the forefront of discussion, so it's not a hidden disease. So people who have issues with mental health are not afraid to go and talk to people, or talk to a doctor, or get some help that they need. So that's what they call stigma-free societies. We are now a stigma-free society. We have a very great group of people working there. That's made up of people from the school system, made up of people from the hospital, made up of residents, made up of some people from the town hall. And we're going to try to educate people and train people for the identification of mental health awareness, especially in the schools. We're reading all these concerns and problems with suicides, and unfortunately, we read about some parents who committed suicide when their children from Connecticut. These are all things that play into that stigma-free society and being able to discuss mental health. So that's what that's about. We had our CTO day, Change of Officers Day, when the children come in from high school and take over the mayor and council. And they come up with their own agenda. They did a great job. I'm always impressed when you take a junior or senior from high school and you throw them up here in front of a microphone. You would think they wouldn't be able to speak and do a great job. Every one of the kids up here did a great job speaking. They could take our position tomorrow if they wanted to and run the town, I felt, because they had some great ideas and some great suggestions. They enjoyed it, we enjoyed it, and it's always a good time to see kids get involved and at least understand a little bit about what politics are and how a town works. And I know talking to some of the kids afterwards, they were understanding that when you voice your concerns about things, that's how things get changed. So, when people don't speak about things is when things stay stagnant, and makes them excited. What we want to do is get those young kids excited about their voice, because they're the next voice of the future. So it's always a good thing to have them here when they do that. The administrator mentioned that we're replacing some curb work on, what street are we on?
Working on Grant Ave, right?
Grant Ave. We'll be putting in sidewalks in some areas over there that don't have sidewalks, a couple with small area. The bridge, I'm getting a lot of concern about when the bridge is going to reopen. It's still another 4 weeks away, when that's going to open, and once that bridge opens, they'll move over to the big Lakeside Bridge and start working there. Hopefully, they are telling us they will not be closing that bridge down too much. It'll only be closed when they pave it. They'll probably have one lane closed at one time, and then, one-way traffic for a little while, and that would go on for a couple of weeks and maybe months to finish that bridge. And that's a county project, that's not our project. And lastly, I'd like a motion to appoint Andrew Crinsley to the Historical Commission, Class 4. So can I have a motion? So moved, Mayor. Councilman Lennon, can I have a second?
Second.
Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? I see him in the back, so I thank you for joining our committees here. And that's my report. Council President Riker.
Wow, you've had quite a report
I did.
tonight. Yeah, okay. So then I'll try to keep mine really
Keep it short. I like that.
Keep it short, okay. I'd like to just start my report a couple minutes on the budget. You had the benefit of Jim, who is our auditor, who came over to do a brief explanation. But I don't think the brief explanation gives people a sense of what goes into this. Kevin has been working on this for months. We have Councilman Vennon. This is the first year that he has chaired the committee, the Finance Committee that I sit on, along with Councilman Begg. And we've met times with him, we've met with the auditor, then the auditor meets again with the council folks, and then finally, when all the details are worked out, they come like they did this evening before the public. So I just want to confirm that this is really a concerted effort by a lot of people to get us to the point that we were tonight. So there's usually a good sigh of relief up here, because there's a lot of work that goes into that budget. The RDA, the redevelopment agency, met again, as we always do, the third Thursday of the month, and it was a long meeting. We had several things on the agenda, but the thing I want to share with you is we had a presentation by the folks who are proposing to redevelop the Washington building. That's Jimmy the Shoe Doctor building. The presentation was done very well. It was architecturally very well laid out, very well thought out. And we're looking forward to, they'll come before the redevelopment agency a few more times, and then hopefully move them along on the process. And I think it's another project that we're all very excited about. Especially just want to acknowledge that the Cardinal closed, the old Cardinal closed today, and she'll be opening up in a few weeks opposite this new project. So having an existing business and potentially new redevelopment across the street, these things go hand in hand. So we're very excited to see the changes in town. The same day as redevelopment, we have the bid meeting. Councilman Begg will tell you about it. The bid meetings are very well attended these days. And unfortunately, they go a little long, but they are, as we commented earlier, the bid is a really very hard-working group, and there's a lot going on with them. Just one, I do want to compliment Al Evangelista on the OEM presentation. Even if you've seen it, and some of it he duplicates from year to year, he always adds a few new slides, and I remarked to him afterwards that even though we've sat through the presentation numerous times, sometimes he says it in a different way, or he puts it in a different way or perhaps we hear it, that there's not a time that goes by that I don't learn something. So if you have the opportunity, please watch it on Channel 77. And the last comment I want to make is, for the last couple of months, you've heard heard myself and Councilwoman Polidori talking about the success of the Souls for Souls campaign, where the Women's Club in town has gotten the community involved, and they in fact collected, what was the total? Over 1,000 pairs of shoes, where they were looking for merely 500. Well, there's something else going on in town, not nearly of that magnitude, but I just want to use this microphone as an opportunity to just spread the word. The high school is doing a collection of prom dresses, and they are making the prom dresses available to those in town who may need them, and those in town who don't, then they send them down to send them to other communities. You know, springtime is prom time, and if you don't have the means to buy the dresses and the accoutrements that go with it, it can be socially a very difficult time. So if you think about all the girls you have in your house, but think about all those prom dresses you have sitting in the closet that your children or others will not use. The high school is collecting them this week. So I encourage you, we did such a great job with the shoes. If everyone in the community can participate and just make that another successful event. Okay, that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Day.
Okay. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department's report for the month of February from Chief Moses Augusto. There were 1,762 calls for service for the month of February. There were 593 motor vehicle stops, 311 motor vehicle summonses issued, 25 motor vehicle accident investigations. There was 1 DWI arrest, 25 alarm conditions burglary, 7 alarm conditions fire. There were 6 fire calls, 78 ambulance requests, 2 burglaries, 7 thefts, 6 domestics, no sexual assaults, and no aggravated assaults. I also attended the Pompton Lakes Community Partnership, the bid meeting, on March 21st. The bid is considering a marketing proposal from the Red Carpet Neighbors. This is a marketing program for a new homeowner where the Red Carpet would reach out to the new homeowner with a discount package, and they've explained our businesses that are out there and promote them. And the bid is also working on a welcome package for new merchants, which would explain the process for getting the necessary municipal permits to open up a business, and also to inform business owners of the grants available from the bid for signage and facades. The bid also received 2 proposals for the cleaning of the tree grates throughout the business district. The subject of repairs of the pond hole parking lot was brought up by Director Mike Fabrizio. He advised that the borough will be going out to bid shortly for the correction. I believe the mayor mentioned that already. And the drainage problem that's there, once that's corrected, the pond hole will be repaved and restriped, and with the past survey we have, we'll probably pick up another 23 parking spaces there. I have to follow up what the mayor said about the CTO day. Those kids were very well, and I'm involved in a program, American Legion Jersey Boys State, and have been for 30 years, and let me tell you, these gentlemen here could really can talk, and they would be, they do a very good job down there. Great job. Yeah. And lastly, past president of the First Aid Squad, Al Slack, passed away, and I just want to send my condolences to his family and wish him the best.
Thank you. Councilman Giacchino.
Thank you, Mayor. Wanted to congratulate Ed on his first time doing the budget. Did a wonderful job with everybody. Kevin, all the supervisors and everybody came together, did a wonderful job. Also, Mayor and Council, you too, Mayor. Excellent job. Also, with regards to the radio station, It's definitely a win-win for us that we're here before the start of the council meeting, and again, Mayor and Kevin, great job. You picked the perfect one. I think they're a perfect fit for us. I think they're going to be great, and it's a win-win for the town. Again, congratulations, good job. Liz, Barbara, Kathy, everybody in the office with the CRS doing that. It's always a project. I know, I'm surprised Liz didn't go gray or lose her hand in here with all the paperwork that is always needed upon paperwork. I mean, it's got to be paperwork. It's got to be, it looks like unbelievable. It's like that they always need and ask. Again, great job on that. Thank you. Saving the residents 25% off of your flood insurance. Only one of the few in the state that do that, or that high, or class 5. Tremendous for a small little town of Pompton Lakes. Kudos to you guys. Great job. I also wanted to thank the students from the high school on CTO Day. I wanted to thank the Board of Education. Again, Liz and Kathy, everybody that met with them, all the different partners, that went with these people, with all the students, and showed them what they do during the day. And I wanted to thank my co-partner, Nicholas Secor. He did a wonderful job. He was very intuitive and looked at everything, and he's got a bright future, and I wanted to thank him. I had a great time. And last thing I have is wanted to put it out there. I know it's on the website, but it's always a good one. The Passaic County is having their hazardous waste collection, and they're having a few dates. Sunday, April 7th, behind the ski barn and Gary's Wines on Route 23 to Paratransit. Another one is Saturday, June 8th, and that's at the West Milford Recycling Center. Sunday, September 8th, is at the Passaic County Community College, the Wanacue campus, off of Union Ave. And then the last date is Saturday, November 9th, and that's at the Passaic Borough Hall down in Passaic. But here are the several items following that you can bring. This is what they will accept. They will accept pesticides and herbicides, propane tanks, solvents and thinners, varnishes and waxes, corrosives and cleaners, pool chemicals, oil-based paints, aerosol cans, kerosene, photographic chemicals, fluorescent light bulbs, car batteries, used motor oil and oil filters, antifreeze, old gasoline oil mix, flares, fire extinguishers, mercury switches, and thermometers. So that's some of the things they will accept. So that's quite a bit. If you had that at your home, always say, where can I get rid of that? Now's your chance. You got 4 times during this year to get that. The only things they will not accept are the following: explosives, dioxins, medical waste, Silvex, infectious waste, radioactive material, computer and electronics, tires and appliances, latex paints, and household batteries. That's the only thing they will not accept. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
And it's funny, but, I do get a lot of calls from residents on how to get rid of that stuff when they have it. That is how you get rid of it. So you keep track of those dates and go down to the county and get rid of it. We, the town, will not take it. We will never take it. And I get calls constantly, how do I get rid of it? And I tell them you have to wait till these days. So, again, go on Facebook if you missed those dates, or watch the meeting and try to get...
Yeah, I think they did put it up on it.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
Yeah,
so, those are important dates. Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Valadori.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to read a motion to approve the request for the Pompton Lakes Riverdale Little League to conduct the annual parade that leaves the Pompton Lakes High School parking lot and marches through the business district to Joe Grill Littlefield Complex near the south end of town for the opening ceremony scheduled for Saturday, April 6, 2019, starting at 12 p.m. During the parade, the police department will temporarily close the route. Portions of this route will include county roads. The police, fire, and first aid will be notified.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Lennon. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay.
Thank you. I also want to remind everyone to continue to check the Rec Committee Facebook page for the current programs that we have going on now, including Get Fit, the indoor field hockey and men's basketball, as well as the softball clinic, field hockey camp. We are still looking for an instructor for the tennis camp, and the walking club, which meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Reminder that the Easter egg hunt is Sunday, April 14th, with a rain date of Saturday, April 20th. And it was very nice at the rec meeting last night to have the special needs program Pat Guide present to us what the upcoming calendar of events look like. I actually had no idea that they had such a robust program. So I also look forward to your performance in the fall. Russell, I wish you luck. I think you're going to be an amazing lead in that place, so we do look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
And I do have one last thing. I would like to read a letter from the MUA. Beginning Monday, April 22nd, 2019, the Pompton Lakes Borough Municipal Utility Authority will conduct its spring hydrant flushing program. The hydrant flushing program will be performed during the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. in order to cause the least inconvenience to our customers. It should be noted that customers may experience a temporary discoloration in their water or a drop in water pressure during the program. And that is my report.
Okay, so what you just said at the end is very important too. I get a lot of calls on that. So, let's listen to the fact that you might have a little brown water when you wake up in the morning. Let's not call the police department on that. They're a very busy group, and they, if you're listening and following what's going on, they're just flushing the hydrants, and that's why you have the water. The water will be safe to drink. So please pass that around. It's important information. A lot of people don't get that, and we end up getting a lot of calls about that. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start off by clarifying that the OEM seminar that Al Evangelista did isn't just for flooding, it's for emergency preparedness. True. And I focus on the flooding, but since the river work, the mayor and council has been putting money towards since at least 2012, maybe 2011, we have not had any flooding. We had over 80 inches of rain last year, and while it went to the top of the bank, we did not go over. In addition, the purchases, the buyouts along the rivers have definitely helped as far as retaining the water and not, the runoff not going directly into the river. The water continues to drain quickly. I've been checking the gauges since the rain we've had last week rather, and it used to sit at a certain level and just kind of stay there all year. Now it drains pretty quickly, and folks outside of the community have noticed as well. And like you mentioned, are taking our lead as far as doing river work in their community. The OEM seminar is very well attended and always great information. The one I always like to share is that having 1 gallon of water per person per day for 3 days. So a family of 4 should have 12 gallons of water in storage, ready and available. Like we had the water main break last year and folks didn't have any water just even to bathe or anything, that would help. While I'm not on the open space committee anymore, I do know that the rain garden workshop was held last weekend, dealing with to help mitigate the flooding. A rain garden is basically a depressed area in your front or backyard where the water will collect during a rainstorm instead of running directly into the street. We've all seen what runoff looks like when we have heavy rain. We have one at our house, and when it rains very heavily, the area where it's indented in our front lawn actually collects water, and then you see it drain slowly after the rain. Trails maintenance is coming up Saturday, May 11th, 2 p.m., Sunday, May 19th at 2 p.m. We meet at the parking lot at Willow Field to help clean the trails and prepare them for the spring. We usually have a pretty decent turnout. A dozen to a couple dozen folks show up to help clean up the trails. And also be on the lookout for the daffodil bulbs we planted in the winter. They should start to be coming up soon.
One huge daffodil.
One huge pile in front of, it's spread out along the Morris Canal Greenway.
You had 1,000 bulbs.
We didn't dig a big hole there, like you suggested. Not 1,000. Yes, it was frozen at one point, and Councilman DeLine hit it with a pickaxe, and there's pictures on Facebook. Historic Commission, congratulations to Andrew on becoming our newest member. Looking forward to working with you. He's already hit the ground running, looking to form the Historic Society, which will be the fundraising arm similar to the Friends of the Public Library, and get us going with that. 125th anniversary of the founding of Pompton Lakes is coming up in 2020. I'll remind everyone until that day comes along. There was discussion about acquiring the Schuyler Colfax property, which is near the Elks, to hopefully eventually turn into the Pompton Lakes Museum. And we still have 2 remaining openings, a Class A member, which is someone who has experience in historical architecture, engineering, or construction, and we have an alternate member opening. Lastly, Friends of the Public Library is having a book sale. May 10th, Friday, May 10th, Saturday, May 11th. They are accepting donations starting April 1st through April 30th. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. One thing I forgot to mention in my report was the planning board did meet, and there was a long discussion about the new car wash that will be coming in. There will be a car wash coming in on the corner of Ringwood Avenue and Hamburg Turnpike. We have to remember those are two county roads, they are not town roads. We have no control over that. The county has approved the project over there, so all we can approve is a car wash there. I expect it to be a nice facility. We have to believe that something was going to go there eventually on that corner. It wasn't going to be an empty lot forever. So a car wash is what's going to be there. They hope to start building it very soon. And we'll move forward from there. I mean, we have to remember that anything could have went there. This has hours. It will be closing around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. We could have had a 24-hour fast food restaurant there. We could have had a quick chip there. We could have had many things there. So I know some people were asking for a better thing to show up there. This is it. We don't own the property, and we can't demand what goes there. So I know Councilman Bagel and I were there for a very long time for these planning board meeting, and that was approved. Professional reports.
Mr. Mayor, I had nothing to indicate.
Okay. Administrator's report.
I have a couple of things, Mayor. I just talked about Grant Ave. That was a state-funded project. It was to be started last fall, but the weather turned honest relatively quickly, so we started about a week or so ago. The work schedule is in my report, and for the most part, the issue in and out of here in about a month, or early part of May. Also in my report, it's hard to believe, but still talking about Hurricane Irene, Hershfield Park, human reimbursements. A lot of this was prior to my arrival here in 2012, so it took a while to get all documentation and make our friends at State Police and FEMA happy. But as of right now, there's about $244,000 worth of town expenditures put into repairing Hershfield Park, which included 2 rounds of paving of that parking lot, because the first round got hit after the second storm and we had to do it again. If all goes well, we'll receive 75% of that $244,000. So again, this is money that I wouldn't say it's been written off. When you look at the balance sheets and stuff, it's no longer considered part of our liability.
They haven't paid it out yet to anybody?
No, not to anybody, to us. This is our...
I know, but what about everybody else?
I couldn't tell you.
2012 is a long time ago.
Actually, it's 2011. That's when the work project was authorized by FEMA. That could be. Right now, I'm still trying to close out elevation and demolition projects. The problem there is, on some of those, the different arms, DEP, not FEMA, is that our Rossi, which is our open space block and lots of our listing, is out of date by almost a decade. So I have to redo that Rossi, which we're doing now, before they'll even consider closing out any more further projects, because they want us to be up to date through DEP requirements. So that's holding up a little bit. But so there's always something about. But I think that'd be nice if we got that the 75% of 244.
Yeah, great.
That'll go right back into our capital fund, which would be nice. Copy of the police lieutenant's list has been given to the governing body. Frank talked about the various projects that the county is doing for solid waste and recycling. Schuyler Avenue, the railroad crossing on Schuyler Avenue, will be closed for about a week, early May. They're going to be doing the crossing in of itself. Some of the actual rails are starting to split and things of that nature, so they want to get that repaired. And lastly, as you recall, last meeting we approved the application for open space to fund the improvements of the Willowfield ball fields. And one of the things we have to talk about was the fact this is going to be in the floodway, in the floodplain. It's going to need DEP approval on a number of different levels. So that being said, even though we haven't got the design yet, we're going to be meeting with the DEP down in Trenton on April 23rd at 11 o'clock to visit with my good friend Dennis Contoys, who I had a lot of hair before I met Dennis years ago. He makes jumping the hoops an art, and I can tell you that. He took us a while. Remember, we actually filled in the
water retention,
drainage
the basin retention.
I can't tell you what we need to do to convince him to do that.
I know,
I go back and forth, the river work. So Dennis is an interesting individual, very hard to do it. We're going down to meet with him. But we're also going to bring people with our Blue Acres partners who did all of our acquisitions, because some of our improvements are going to touch some of that land.
Right.
So we're going to try to maybe leverage our friends at Blue Acres. Fawn McGee is the director of the program, She's a very high-level DEP individual. We're going to bring her along. So we start those discussions. That'll help kind of maybe soften our application. So once we have this, then the engineers know what they require to do to design the project and what the fees are going to be, all kinds of stuff. So the game plan is that we'll get that information back. We'll start the design. Then we're going to end up probably bidding this out once we get the county funds early next year. So somebody's going to lose the season, and we have to determine if it's going to be the baseball season or soccer season.
Well, why would they lose the season?
Well, because it's going to take a while. I mean, it's not going to...
Yeah, but they're working in an area where there's no fields.
I'm just saying, I think there's always a concern, might be a season, might be lost, we start moving things around. But
We'll have to talk about that.
That's that. So that's going to be 2020 project. I want to kind of talk about the pothole really quick. The pothole project is our 2020 project.
Yes.
It's not imminent. I'm not sure what Mike is telling the bid, but you remember we were here. The engineering design is being started. By the time we get done, it'll probably be a winter bid, and we're going to hold off construction until the summer. We determined that the best time to do it would be when school's out, there are less cars in town because people are on vacation, no students are parking in the pothole. That would be, because you're going to talk with the pothole for about a month.
Yep.
So it's going to probably be the summer of 2020.
Okay. Where are we with the Summit Avenue? What's our update?
Summit Avenue, I was up there today. They're putting the retaining wall in to put the actual guardrail in. They'll repave it and they'll be done.
Time frame?
I'm hoping in less than 2 weeks now, when it's that close. The problem you have two guys working on the job, so it takes forever to get things done, because one guy's on the backhoe, one guy's...
Did they move everything over at least?
Yeah, better,
It's better, but it's not,
You know, this job, was one of those jobs where they gotta be a little more honest on how they're saying things. I understand weather played a big part of this, but we're going on 2 months now on this job, at least 2 weeks.
Well, I'm not disputing that.
So, it's a tough turn over there, because it's a little...
Well, I think part of the problem too, very honestly, is these people basically build houses. A lot of you build a few houses down in the south end, but they want to bid, it's just one of those things.
It's one of those things. Any questions for the administrator? Nope, okay. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
so moved.
Council President Riker, Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up. Knock yourself out.
I have a question on the,
I just need your name and address.
Wolfwood Row Iron Storage Mid-Rise, ordinance 1913. What provisions are you changing? Is that the main Dumont property?
Oh, you mean on the rezoning?
Yeah.
So what that's about is, years ago, a master plan was put in place where they were gonna put a hotel and a golf course up there. We know that's never gonna happen up there, so that's what the zoning is calling for right now. So we were changing it off that zoning and more to a, commercial building.
Okay.
Well, there'll be no residential ever up there. We're looking, at the end of the day, when this is all said and clean, God knows when that'll be, but when that ever is, there will be the opportunity to get some tax dollars off of this for businesses that come in. And there are businesses very interested in that area. And it could be major money coming in for tax dollars. So, we're looking to zone it, more commercial than anything, and then most of it will be open, preserved space that nobody will be able to use.
Cool with Amazon.
Who?
Amazon.
Well, we'd be happy to say something like that, sure.
Another question, please, and then I'm going to be going. We just approved the budget, right? We vote on the budget, and then on the same day, we have a bond ordinance. Why is that? Isn't the bond, should we just throw that money in the budget? Add it to the budget if you need
That
money?
doesn't work that way. No, what happens is the budget actually has money that provides for down payment. And so what happened, the bond ordinance is $1.6 million. What happened is now you have the ability to go to what's called temporary financing. You take notes out that $1.6 million or whatever the number might be. And what happened is the budget provides a 5% down payment. That's all you have to do relative to a bond law to have a bond. You could have a $3 million bond, as long as you put 5% down, cash, in the budget to cover the initial down payment, basically, you can bond. So what happened is that I scheduled where that the ordinance is second reading the same night the budget's adopted. This way we can start actually doing capital projects tomorrow, not a month from now, or 2 months from now. So that's why it's done. But the bottom line is that the money in the budget gives the money for the down payment. That's all you need. And what will happen now is we will now go out to note sale somewhere probably in another month or so. You hear me report. In fact, we went out and took our 1.6 million and went out to the bond market, and we sold our notes for whatever it is, 2%, whatever it might be.
It's not a way to get around the cap in this case, right?
No, it's not.
You said the tax is gonna go up $26
Our percentage, our piece of
for a particular profit, type of cost and property. Does that included the payments we'll have to be responsible for to pay off the bond?
Yeah,
That's everything, yes.
That includes that?
That's everything, yes.
Right, that includes about payments of, to pay off around $800,000 of debt. So what happens, we usually pay $800,000 worth of debt off every year, and normally we try to put $800,000, this year is about $1 million, we take away some of the money that was offsetting. That's how we do, we try to pay down 800, put out 800 on, so it kind of washes itself out.
Okay, it's not another hidden cost, that's what I'm trying to say.
No.
Including what the black and white here says. Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session? So moved. Councilman Bennett.
Second.
Councilman Giaconetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Privilege of the floor. Anybody have privilege of the floor? Oh, go ahead.
In my report, I neglected to give a special congratulations to my counterpart for CTO. Sean Boonstra acted as council president. Not only did he have a presence and a poise that was really exceptional for a high school student, his ability to retain the material from the discussions we had and the work that Liz did with him, he and all his colleagues did a beautiful job, and I just want to congratulate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from?
Absolutely, Mayor. I'd like to offer my condolences to the friends and family of former Haledon Police Chief Lou Mercuro. Decades ago, I was a Class 2 Special in Haledon. He actually brought me and the current police chief of Haledon on as auxiliaries, and the current chief, Angelo Danielle, has moved up and clearly has done well, and he's now the current chief of Haledon Police Department. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.